been a long time, but hi. Hey guys, it's Anarchy. If you're new here, what I do on my channel is kind of whatever I want. If you're not new here, you know that I've not uploaded a YouTube video in a long time.
It's about time.
There are many reasons for this. One of the main ones being that I've kind of switched mostly to making short form content when it comes to video, and I only really make a long form video when I really feel like I need to talk about something or ramble, or when I have time. I have both right now. One of the main reasons that you haven't seen that much content from me in a while is I've been obsessed with Baldur's Gate, to a point that is concerning to my friends and family. I decided to make it your problem as well and come on here and rant about my experiences playing Baldur's Gate, what I liked about the game, what I didn't like about the game, my thoughts on the characters, and just my general experience. For those of you who don't know anything about this game, let me tell you how I was introduced to it. For those of you who don't know, I am actually very into Dungeons and Dragons. And by into it, I mean I want to get into it. I really like consuming Dungeons and Dragons based content. I watch a lot of Dimension 20 and like other creators who do Dungeons and Dragons based content. I love the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I like the idea of the world. I like the idea of making your own character and like role playing as them or with your friends. I would love to do a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, but my friends are either already into Dungeons and Dragons and already are so deep into their own campaigns and friends and worlds and OCs and stuff that it would be basically impossible for me to join, or they're not nerdy enough for this shit.
What do you think you're doing, nerd?
I've always had this dilemma of wanting to play Dungeons and Dragons but not really being able to feasibly get into it. That's around the time I started to hear whispers about Baldur's Gate. I heard rumblings about the game on Twitter because people were freaking out about the fact that you could customize your genitalia. That did not entice me to get the game, but I was like,
huh? What? Oh. Okay.
I then later found out you could romance characters, and I'm like, okay, that customizable genitalia makes sense now. That still wasn't enough to really get me to research the game. What did get me to research the game was some description of the game that basically said it takes place in the world of D&D and is basically a solo D&D campaign you can do by yourself. You can do it with friends too, there's multiplayer, but you can play a D&D campaign basically by yourself via this game. That got my attention immediately. Bought so fast, such an impulse buy. I, going into this game, knew nothing about the characters, knew nothing about the world except that it was based on Dungeons and Dragons, knew nothing about the gameplay. I was just excited, man. I was just really excited. I logged a lot of hours into this game.
No, I don't think you understand. I'm obsessed.
You might be wondering why I'm dressed in this princess outfit. There will be costume changes during this video. This kind of represents my OC and where she was at the beginning of this journey. I have created an OC for myself for most of the fandoms that I'm in, that they just exist in my brain. If you ever want to hear me talk about them or ramble on about my OCs, let me know in the comments down below. But I have like OCs for like Percy Jackson, for like Kingdom Hearts, for like so many things. But as far as Baldur's Gate / Dungeons and Dragons goes, her name is Calliope. Baldur's Gate completely let me do whatever I wanted with the background of my character. She is a human and a noble. In the game you can select your background, so I picked noble because it made the most sense for my character and what I already had mentally envisioned for her. I always imagined her as like a high society girl, enjoyed being a high society girly, loved being a girly girl, loved the dresses, loved the drama, loved all of that, until her parents set her up for an arranged marriage, said would rather die.
Immediately no.
So just ran away and went off to go start a life on her own. For my first playthrough, I decided to make her a rogue, like I said, with a noble background, and a human. I picked human not particularly because that's what I had in mind. I mean, it is because like I said, she's a self-insert. It's just me. It's literally just me. I picked human because in Baldur's Gate, there's a human face that looks remarkably similar to my own. There are some scenes where I would be playing as this character and I'd be like, oh god, that looks like me. I just like seeing my own, like what's close to my face on there. I think that's fun. So with all that being said, let's get into it. Hello, I'm back and I'm wearing chainmail. From here on out, there will probably be spoilers. My recommendation is if you haven't played this game and you kind of have been like interested in Dungeons and Dragons and like fantasy and like role-playing stuff, I highly recommend getting this game. The game starts, my character wakes up on a ship with a tadpole having been inserted in her eye. Tadpole in eye. Main objective, get tadpole out of eye, because you don't want to become a mind flayer. That sounds gross. That is my main goal throughout this game. Do not become mind flayer. They look gross. Run into the first character in the game. Hi, Anarchy from the future here. You missed so much shit. You ran into Baldur's Gate. You ran towards the city with such reckless abandon that you missed a murder investigation, a circus. You missed so much shit. Just go back. Just start over. Just start over. Run into the first character in the game, Lae'zel.
Forgive and forget. No. Resent and remember.
I immediately don't like Lae'zel. I don't like her. She's mean. I'm kind of more sympathetic to her now, having played the game, but she's the worst, and I don't like her. Immediately stole her clothes. So that's what my character's wearing throughout most of the game, but dyed pink. Anyway, run into Lae'zel, steal her clothes, short fight, get yeeted off the ship actually, land mysteriously on the beach unaffected. My first playthrough, I ran through the beach, grabbed Shadowheart.
Yes, I'm a gatekeeper and a hater. I'm also God's favorite princess and the most interesting girl in the world.
Next, we run into Asterion.
Have I stabbed you? No. Then I'm being nice.
My first impressions of Asterion were, I hate you. 1, he pulled a knife on me. 2, he sounds like Prince Charming from the Shrek series.
Prepare, foul beast! Your time is done!
Somebody else later said like a fancy Stewie Griffin.
Say what?
Reason number 3, Asterion's a vampire. This is not a spoiler. The game's pretty upfront about it. And then, like later on in your adventure, he sneaks off in the middle of the night, and then the next day, you see a boar that's had all the blood taken out of it. It has 2 puncture wounds on its neck. And Asterion is being super cagey about this. It is like, why are you looking at this boar? We don't need to look at this boar. Let's move on. Let's go. Let's continue our adventure.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
What? You're a vampire. I was very upset that the game would not let me call him out on that shit. I was really wanted to just at that point pull him aside and be like, you're a vampire.
I know what you are!
On the 3rd night, I think, he tries to bite you. And I think he succeeds because I think my character woke up with like puncture wounds in her neck already. I didn't realize how much the internet was gonna thirst over Asterion. Personally, I'm not into vampires. I never had a Twilight phase. That being said, I really like Asterion. He's deeply funny. I brought him with me the whole game. He never left my party. Just his asides are the best things in the game. He's violent like me, he's funny, and he has a tragic backstory, which actually very much upset me and very much put me on the Asterion bandwagon. We need to kill your abuser. Unalive your abuser. Unalive. That's what people say. They say unalive now. Also, yeah, he's just useful being a rogue, but anyway, completely and 100% missed Gale. Did not see him. Did not see that big swirly thing of magic at first for a while. I think I went back and got him, but by that point, I'd already done a lot. Then went and did that fight that you do that introduces you to Will. Was not smart, did not realize you could get him for a really long time. I was running around with just Shadowheart and Asterion for like a stupidly long time. In the Grove, there are these tieflings, they're a group of refugees, and then they went to this grove where there's a bunch of druids. They're just staying with them, but tensions are high. I did what I think is the correct thing, which is help the tieflings. Don't kill Kaga, which I've later found out might not be the right thing, but I didn't kill her in any of my playthroughs. Maintain peace between them, and then head off to the goblin camp to help keep that peace, and also to go help rescue Halsin. I'm like doing a horrible job of explaining this game if I haven't played this game. I should have done a stream. I might do a stream if you guys bully me enough. The goblin camp. When we pulled up to the goblin camp, I immediately saw that punch bowl, and I had a bottle of poison from earlier, and all the goblins are getting drunk on the punch just the whole time. Like, how? Because every time you like approach it, they question you. So I ignored that and also realized I'm not good at this game yet, but I was learning quickly. Very quickly figured out what was going on with the priestess who tries to kill you. Basically figured out we have to assassinate her, so locked her in a room and killed her very quickly. That leads me to the next character, Minthara. This is where I wasted so much time. Basically, she wants to attack the grove that you came from, those people you want to protect. Obviously, you want to protect them. Pretty much talking to her just lets her know where they are. Like, I don't think you can end that conversation with her not knowing where they are. And so you can either side with her, or at least pretend to side with her to attack the grove, or, well, we'll get back to Or. So I just pretended to agree with her and then turned on her when she came to attack the grove. That didn't work. That battle with her is really hard. Well, it was really hard for me. This is the first time I Googled something. I was like, what are the options here? And I saw a video where someone said how to easily kill Minthara without starting a fight. And this is where I learned the lovely mechanic in Baldur's Gate of shoving people off cliffs. Basically, if you agree to attack the grove, she crosses a bridge. If you time it right, when she's crossing the bridge, you can shoot a support on the bridge and cause her to fall to her death. And I think of random goblins like, good riddance. This is what made me love this game. I spent 15 hours doing that fight over and over again, being like, it must just be my strategy being bad or something like that. And I couldn't get through it. I looked that up. I just dropped her to her death. She's gone. Found Halsin. Somebody described him as being a bear of a man or something like that. And then he's actually just a bear. Went back to the grove, celebrated, partied, had my first romance scene with Asterion. We're gonna talk about romance separately. I can't do all that right now. Now it's time for Act 2. So leading into Act 2, Halsin tells you and your party basically, hey, you need to get to Moonrise Towers. It is in this place called the Shadow Curse Lands. It's terrifying there. The main thing you need to go to the Shadow Curse Lands is a way to get through the Shadow Curse Lands without the shadows affecting you, which basically I think you could use torches up to a certain point, but eventually you need like an item. Just keep in mind, the search for that item wasted like 60 hours of my life. There is a place you can find one, but mostly you just kind of have to go into the Underdark. I mean, not the Underdark, the Shadow Curse Lands. They sound similar to me because they were both equally things that I didn't like dealing with. The Underdark. My quick rant about that. I hated the Underdark so much. It was confusing. I kept getting lost. There were like a lot of other things in the Underdark. Nothing personally that I was like super interested in. Then we got to the Shadow Curse Lands, did Moonrise Towers, had fun in Act 2 because you can trick a lot of characters into just killing themselves, a lot of bosses. I wasn't exploring too much. I was just kind of rushing because I was worried about everything in this game. The moment we arrived in like a city, I think it was Rivington or something, I immediately just ran to Baldur's Gate as fast as possible. I can see that there's like a lot of things happening, but I'm just like, Baldur's Gate, let's rush to Baldur's Gate, let's run to Baldur's Gate, because I just want to get to the city. After consulting the internet, looking at memes, just kind of going on my phone, and like more people started playing the game, found out I missed everything. And a lot of people said, okay, well that's always your first playthrough is gonna be like that. I missed enough that I was like, I don't want to finish the game like this. So I went back and I just started over. Also found out mods exist. Like I would see people posting pictures of their characters and they were way cuter than mine. And I was like, where are you guys getting this clothing? Oh, mods? Okay, since hair and clothes were the main thing I wanted to change and you had to start over, and I already found out I missed a bunch of stuff, wiped, added the mods, and started over my game. I'm a bard now.
Okay, girl.
Playthrough 2 was the playthrough where I got mods, my character got a weave put in, and drip. This is as close to my character as I could get. Her name's still Calliope. She still has the same backstory, runaway princess, except this time she's a bard, so she can beat you over the head with a lute. Second playthrough. Most of it was the same. Major differences that I wrote. Found Shadowheart on the ship. Didn't realize you could find her on the ship. Poisoned the goblin camp. I became good at this game. So when we came across the goblin camp, I don't remember exactly how I did it, but I was able to poison like half the goblins, which made that fight way easier. Found Karlach.
I hate this place. I want to go to Build-A-Bear.
Favorite female character in the game. I can like roleplay and do fun stuff in games, but I don't know, I just didn't really want to romance any of the girls. If I did, would have been Karlach. I found Lae'zel and Gale sooner, realized how I missed them now. Biggest difference for my second playthrough. For this, my second playthrough, I knew I didn't want to do anything in the Underdark. I went into the Shadow Curse Lands just the way that I remember, where you're supposed to have an item from Minthara, and you can have these guys like lead you through the Shadow Curse Lands. I threw Minthara off a bridge, so I wasn't able to loot her body. I don't have that item. I think that was like one of the only times in this game I actually used my Illithid power. Got them to trust me. That spider dude shows up, and he was in my first playthrough. You have to do this whole ambush with the people at the Last Light Inn to fight this spider guy and get the moon lantern away from him. That's how you traverse the Shadow Curse Lands. This playthrough, I like just killed the spider dude and took the lantern from him. Skipping a lot of stuff. That was one of the biggest differences. I just outright skipped the Underdark completely. Besides that, I don't want to keep going step by step through my playthrough. I just kind of want to talk about little things. First, I'm going to talk about each character. So Asterion's the character that my character romanced, mostly because he's my favorite. Like I said, he's really funny to me. I also really liked his backstory. It's so good, but it's so messed up, Larry, and like, what the hell? As soon as I found out what his backstory is, I was like, oh yeah, let's go to Cazador. let's just not only kill Cazador, let's use his ritual against him, and let's do the ritual until we got down there and I saw that it would take 7,000 souls. That gave me pause. So I didn't ascend him. I went through that and I was like, okay, that was sad but cathartic, and he seems healthier and better now, and now we're like full dating, which is fun. I went back and did the ascended one. That's not a good ending. There are people on Twitter who are foaming at the mouth over the Asterion ascended romance scenes and just ascended Asterion. He's just basically becoming his abuser. That's what the ascended Asterion ending sounds like. He's becoming his abuser. If you try to break up with him, he won't let you. You are now in like some weird abusive relationship where you were basically a slave to him, and he knows this. And if you're into that, cool, I guess. But like, I've seen a lot of people like thirsting over that ending, and it just kind of makes me sad because I'm like, I feel like everybody missed the point of him. It does have the better romance scene though, I will say, because the romance scene in the normal one is you having sex on his grave. Why? 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 One last note about Asterion. Larian posted that 90%, I think, of users have been rejected by Asterion within the first week or so of the game. Every playthrough that I have done, even if they're like sad little playthroughs, I have gotten to an easy approval level with him immediately. How are you guys not doing this? How are you guys getting rejected? I don't even know what rejection from him looks like. In conclusion, I really like Asterion, and now my For You page is just Asterion, which is great because at least it's not Miguel O'Hara anymore. The next character that I want to rant about for a moment is Gale. Gale didn't bother me as much as he did later in the game. Gale's not that bad. So I've never romanced him, or I've never even thought about it. I'm going through a playthrough now where I'm romancing Will. I've never done Gale, and that's because he keeps trying to romance me in every playthrough I do, and it's really uncomfortable. I just think a lot of people had this experience with him, which is what has been led to a lot of people like memeing him and just making fun of him. There's nothing actually wrong with him, it's just he's been annoying me in every other playthrough. I think it's a little too real. It's a little too realistic of like those guys who you just say hi to and then they're like, what are we?
Hello? I love you.
Next up is Will, because I'm just doing all the guys first. I like Will a lot. That's why I'm gonna romance him in my current playthrough that I'm doing right now. His whole thing with his father, it was very classic fantasy tropes, which I think he was kind of meant to be like the vanilla option for that reason. And he's very funny and nice, and like I like him a lot. He just seemed like the very like vanilla normal option. I really don't like him when he gets the horn. I really wish you could avoid him getting the horns without like, I don't know, killing Karlach or something, but I still really like Will. Okay, last guy I want to talk about, Halsin. Everybody loves Halsin. Halsin is like, I think, the second most popular male character romance besides like Asterion. He is a druid, and like I mentioned, when you find him, he's a bear. Let me explain my character's experience with this character. Well, after he came to their camp, he basically was like, hey, I think you're hot, we should bang. To which my character was like, I have a boyfriend. And he's like, yeah, I know, I'm not trying to like step in on your relationship. I would just like to bang. I wanted to see jealous Asterion. I said, let me ask Asterion. I went and asked Asterion, and Asterian's like, I don't care. I did it just so I could know what was going on. And then I went back to Halsin and was like, okay, Asterion said fine. And then you start an intimate scene with Halsin where everything is going according to plan. And then he gets so horny that he turns into a bear. And he apologizes and then turns back into a human and is like, we can continue if you'd like. And your options are say that was weird and leave. Which I was like, that's a little mean. He just got really excited. Saying that was weird and continuing as a human, or saying I'm into that and doing it as a bear.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Too many of you did it as a bear. But I liked Halsin a lot, actually. I would normally romance him maybe once or twice. The last technically male character, technically whatever gender you want, is the Dream Guardian, aka the Emperor, aka Boiler Baldur. A totally fine romantic option. In fact, I was like kind of like, I could see myself doing this, until you find out he's a mind flayer. And I know you can romance him humanoid. I think I did. If I remember correctly, what happened for me was I proceeded with the scene where he was human during it. You wake up in the aftermath and he was not able to maintain his form because he got excited / distracted. Fair. Gross that I'm waking up on a octopus, but fair. The thing that made me immediately save and reload is he also couldn't shield everyone else from your mind because all of your minds are connected. So the whole party saw you mind flare. I've never reloaded a save so fast in this game. Another thing about that character, weirdly trying to pressure you into becoming a mind flayer. I almost feel like because they're lonely and they want someone to be with them, but I was very much in the camp of get the tadpole out of my head and I am not becoming an octopus. Now the girls. First, Shadowheart, just very quickly getting her out of the way. I like her a lot, just like as a character. I think she's a very interesting character. I didn't ever accidentally romance her. Yeah, I have no opinions on the romance there. Next is Lae'zel. I almost let Lae'zel die multiple times. There are several times in this game where I could have let Lae'zel die. Like, I just wasn't a big fan of her. I'm a little bit more sympathetic to her now, having finished the game. And then last but not least, because I love her, Karlach. Literally, Karlach is the reason I restarted when I found out I missed her completely. Second playthrough, did get her, love her energy. She makes me happy. I love her. Where should I start talking about the ending? So I'm gonna walk you through my choices towards the end of this game. When you get to the third nether stone, that's pretty much when everything starts to go to shit. Going into the ending, the game asks you, hey, did you do everything you needed to do before you go into the ending of this game? Because you can't come back. I truly believe that I did everything I wanted to do going into the end of this game. I 100% forgot about the Orphic hammer. Long story short, you are supposed to go and steal something from the actual devil. I completely forgot to go get that hammer. Started getting to the end of the game, and at some point you talk to that dream visitor and he's like, I'm going to eat the prince's brains so that we can defeat the nether brain. The choices you have are free Orpheus, and it's fully what I was going to do in my brain, but I just completely forgot about the Orphic hammer thing. My choices were let him eat the guy's head, become a mind flayer myself, or let Karlach become a mind flayer because she's gonna die anyway. Put a pin in that. I ended up picking having him just eat and kill the prince dude, which didn't feel great. End of game happens. Do like this big fight. One of the like random minions in the final fight that I killed right before going in to kill the brain had the best handheld crossbows, and I was so mad because I was like, I want those to play the rest of the game with. But after this is the last fight. I can't even equip them. And then the ending cutscene happens. We spent hours with these characters, right? I've become very invested and attached in the lives of these characters. After everything happens, the brain dies and crashes into the sea. Your characters are kind of on a dock, and everyone gets like one sentence to wrap up what happened to them. If that. Shadowheart's like, all right, we did it, I guess. Gale was like, oh, there's that crown I wanted to get. I'm gonna search the ocean for it so I can give it to Mystra and maybe she'll forgive me. Oh, Lae'zel, really quickly. Her people, after I betrayed them, they had run up to me right before the final battle and were like, you betrayed us. And I was like, do you want to fight now or do you want me to go kill that brain? And they were like, fine. And then they just leave. And Lae'zel's like, my people are gonna hate me now. But then that's it. I didn't really get a consequence for not going to get that hammer. Asterion, since I didn't ascend him, once the tadpole is out of his brain, immediately is getting caught on fire from being out in the sun because it was daylight when this is happening. And he just scurries off. Question for people who didn't romance Asterion and got that ending, is that the last time y'all see him? Oh my god, that's so messed up if that's just the last time you see him. I really hope there's DLC for this game. That's my hope, is that they make DLC for some of the characters that should have more to their story. Like for example, Gale trying to find the crown or still dealing with his Mystra hangups, or Asterion needing to find a way to stay in the sunlight, or let's talk about Will and Karlach. So I found out apparently that if you don't romance Will or Karlach, so with Will, you have one choice later, which is stay an adventurer or become the Duke of Baldur's Gate. His dad is Duke Ravensguard. He's the Duke of something. I don't remember. I picked become a Duke because I was just like, that seems fun. So just keep that in mind. I told him to become a Duke. Once the fight's over, Karlach has this long, sad scene where she's basically about to die. And my choices were go to Avernus, hell. Go to hell with her so she can live and not be alone because she doesn't want to go back by herself. Or she just dies and you just stay with her while she dies, which is like a sad, bittersweet scene where it's like at least she lived the life she wanted to live and then she dies. God, I hated that. But silver lining, apparently if you don't romance Will and you tell him to stay an adventurer, he overrides whatever romance you might have had with Karlach and he goes to Avernus with Karlach. In fact, he calls her Karlach his love. Or her becoming an illithid and then she can live, but then she's a mind flayer. I was very unhappy. So yeah, like I said, it would be cool if there was DLC. I just wish there was like some more follow-up because we spend so much time with these characters. The ending just left me kind of upset and sad. I swear it felt like the ending was like 5 minutes long and then Done. Credits. I know I just ragged on the ending a lot, but I do still want to say this was genuinely one of the best games I've played in like so long. There's so much care and intricacies put into this game, and I think the reason the ending was so disappointing to me was it didn't feel like that same level of care was put into the ending as was put into the rest of the game. I still highly recommend it. It's still like one of my favorite games ever. To wrap this up, I don't know what I'm talking about. I just had to get a lot of my thoughts about Baldur's Gate out of my head and speak to people about it. If you want to talk to me about the game in the comments, please leave comments. Please let me know if you played, what you thought about stuff. I would genuinely love to know. I'm so interested in like people's different choices in this game and what they did and didn't do or how they solved problems. Tell me about your OC if you have one. If you guys bully me enough, I might stream on Twitch me playing Baldur's Gate again. I haven't made a video in a really long time. I still want to make videos, but I think I'm only going to come on here and make a video if I have something I really want to say and really want to talk about. You can follow me on all my socials. I'm either Anarchy or it's Anarchy. Everything's linked below and all over the place. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video whenever that is. Bye!